Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. We are back after a pretty good day yesterday. We kind of talked about some basketball yesterday, early look at football. I talked about Jared Allen double-double on the stream yesterday. That was a winner. He didn't even play many minutes. They kind of limited everybody on the back-to-back. I thought that they would rest some guys. The other guys would play. They were very cautious with most of the starters' minutes. They did rest Darius Garland, though. I thought it was going to be Mobley. I'm pretty sure I said Garland or Mobley on the stream yesterday. I thought it was going to be Mobley, but it ended up being Garland that they rested. But even in just a little bit over 20 minutes, Jared Allen easily got that double-double. Sandy was in the chat yesterday. Shout out to Sandy. He said that Giannis points was a lock, and Giannis easily went over that point total. I don't even know what he finished with, but I know he had more than 31 points. I'm going to pull. Let's take a look here. If you're in the chat, say good morning. Where's yesterday? Bucks, Bulls. Giannis finished with 41 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. What a call from Sandy. Shout out to Sandy in the chat. That was a good pick. But tonight, there's not much basketball on tonight. There's only like 4 games. So we're mostly going to be talking Thursday night football here. Yeah, we have Pistons, Hornets, Timberwolves, Raptors, Jazz, Spurs, and then the Magic and Lakers closing it out. So only 4 basketball games tonight. I haven't really taken any basketball bets or anything, looked at much. We talked about it yesterday, but LeBron assists is something that I've been regularly betting. And that's just been hitting every single week. Let me see. I mean, he's still plus money for 10. I said yesterday, I think that line should be 10.5 pretty regularly for LeBron right now, given his current role on this team. So, if you wanted to take that over 9.5 assists or the 10 plus assists, I don't think that's terrible. I haven't looked at that kind of matchup specific, but just in terms of the raw stats, the amount of times he's passing the ball and getting those assist opportunities, he should be regularly getting 9 or 10 assists just based off of the averages of what the players are going to shoot when he passes them the ball. So that's something that you could look at. I'll probably look at that later. I've been hitting some Lakers same game parlays recently that have been pretty good. Just doing, Embiid points, right? So, or not Embiid, Anthony Davis. So I'm going to build one right here. So if we just did Anthony Davis, 20 points, if we did like LeBron, 8 assists, right? That's minus 134 in itself. Add in like Lakers to win the game, you're at plus 150. So I don't know. The Lakers same game parlays, I think, have been paying pretty well. I've been doing some of those. Might look into doing that later, but overall, we're here to talk football. We have a big game tonight. Not really, but kind of. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns. So there's lots to talk about with this game. And if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and ask. We come into this game, Steelers minus 3.5 here on the road, division rival. I think this is only their second division game of the season. Last week was their first. They beat the Steelers, or they beat the Ravens. They beat the Ravens without scoring a touchdown. They just kicked all field goals. Chris Boswell went full legend, beat the Ravens by himself. So Steelers at Browns, Steelers minus 3.5, minus 184 on the money line. Total for the game is 36.5. This game opened. Let me see if I can check here. This game opened significantly higher. So this game opened at 43.5 points, and it's down to 36.5. So that's a sizable drop in the total. Anytime if you see a couple points of movement in the total, that's significant. So this is extreme when you're seeing almost a touchdown worth of points movement. There is expected to be bad weather. So boots on the ground here. I am not in Cleveland, but I'm somewhat close. There was snow on the ground this morning for the first time this year, but the forecast for this game specifically tonight, there's expected to be freezing rain slash snow throughout the game pretty regularly. And I'm sure any show you guys watch today, everyone will be breaking down the weather of this game. That's not really why I'm here, but just mentioning it, the totals dropped, 7 points. The wind I don't think is supposed to be super crazy. 10 to 15 miles per hour is what I'm seeing, but the Cleveland Stadium, if you guys don't know or if you've never been there, wind acts very strange inside that stadium. The way that it's built, sometimes it can be almost like a wind tunnel. So even though it only says 10 to 15 miles per hour with 20-mile-per-hour gusts, I'm never going to trust the wind, to be honest, in that stadium, just because it just acts so strange, especially when it gusts. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. Now, do I think it's going to score 36 or below points? I don't know. That's really low for an NFL football game, right? And if the wind isn't crazy, they'll still be able to pass the ball. It's just going to be wet or snowing. So I don't know. That's a pretty significant total move. There's some juice on that over 36.5 now, because I feel like that's come down, almost too much. I'm assuming there's going to be some buyback on that total and it'll move back up to like 37.5. That would be my prediction for that. But at the end of the day, these two teams obviously know each other very well and they don't like each other. There's a lot of narratives that are going into this game as well, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But overall, for the weather, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be that low scoring, 36.5. That's pretty low. So that's kind of my take on the weather. In terms of the game, so I'm going to talk about the game from a higher level, and then I'll dive into like some player angles here. From a higher level, this is a classic letdown spot. And I don't know if I'm going to bet a side of this game, but you can't tell me this isn't just this is just a classic letdown spot. The Steelers have won 5 games in a row. They just beat the Ravens in a huge game at home, right? That was a massive game for playoff seeding, for the divisional crown. Who's going to win this division? Like, that was a huge game. So they've won 5 in a row. They are coming off an emotional, close victory over the Ravens. Now it's a short week. They're on the road. It's a classic letdown spot. And look, Russell Wilson, this is where I have an issue with this, because I feel like a lot of people at first were saying, oh, the Steelers should not have benched Justin Fields. They're 4-2 or whatever, 4-1, 4-2 with him. Why would you bench him? Russell Wilson comes in. He looks good, and they've won 5 in a row. Now, Russell Wilson does not grade out well analytically. He has not been an above average quarterback per the metrics. So I think this is just a classic example. We've seen this time and time again with the Steelers team. They rely on their defense. They rely on Mike Tomlin voodoo magic when they're playing at home. Weird things happen. Teams miss kicks. The Steelers block kicks. This happens every single time like clockwork in these Steelers games. So yeah, I still don't know if that was a good decision or not, whatever. I mean, they're 5-0 since then, so I really can't argue it, but it's not like he's been playing amazing. He's definitely had, some touchdown passes, but overall, I don't think the performance, I mean, they didn't even score an offensive touchdown last week. And the Ravens defense coming into that, I mean, let's just take a look at what the Ravens have allowed, right? Prior to that game. So this is where I have some concerns, right? So prior to that game, we'll go back to October 21st. So 1 month ago, right? We'll go back a month. The Ravens allowed 370 yards and 3 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield. They have allowed 334 yards and 3 touchdowns to Jameis Winston in a game that the Browns won. They did pretty good against Bo Nix, 223-1 cross-country travel game there for the Broncos. And then they allowed 430 yards and 4 touchdowns to Joe Burrow. So they have just been getting absolutely rinsed in the passing game. And then Russell Wilson comes in there in a home game, throws for 205 yards and a touchdown. The team didn't score an offense touchdown. So I don't know. I'm kind of just not really there right now on the Steelers offense. The Browns defense, I'm also not really there on. They lost their captain. I don't even know if he is the actual captain, but he basically is the captain of their defense. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, starting linebacker. They brought him in specifically years ago to stop the run game. They used to be very, very bad for years against the run. They drafted him specifically to help in that, and he is just a dynamic player that runs their defense, and he has been out. So their defense has taken definitely a hit since then. We also have some motivation concerns here. I mean, I feel like the team, at least in the local media, has been called out all week in terms of their motivation and whether or not they want to play out the rest of the season, whether or not they've quit on the coaching staff and all that stuff. Like those narratives are very alive locally, but the reason why I think that might not apply as much is just because of the matchup against the Steelers. It is a rivalry, and as I mentioned, there's some narratives here. Nick Chubb last year got hurt against the Steelers in a primetime game, and that was a devastating blow to the team and to Browns fans, as he's the most popular player on the team. So a little bit of a narrative spot there. I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they'll let Nick Chubb down by not playing hard in this game. But the reason why I bring up Owusu-Koramoah being out is if we look at their last couple games, let's go back to the beginning of the season when he's playing first. And let's just talk about this. So let's go back to like week 1. You know, they gave up 10 carries for actually, okay, we'll go combined. Against Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle in week 1, they gave up 18 carries for 60 yards, right? Like pretty low yards per carry, I would say. Against the Jags, you know, Donta Foreman, not Don Foreman, Travis Etienne, you know, he did decent, 4 yards per carry against them. Trevor Lawrence had some success against them as well. Let's look at the Bengals. I mean, Chase Brown, 15 carries for 44 yards. That's 2.9 yards per carry. Zach Moss also 6 carries for 7 yards. So they did really good against the run game in that one. Against the Eagles, I mean, they held Saquon Barkley to 47 rushing yards, 18 carries for 47 yards for Saquon Barkley, right? Far and away his worst game of the entire season. So this team was good against the run at one point. Since Owusu-Koramoah went down, they've been horrible against the run. J.K. Dobbins, 14 carries for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns against them 2 weeks ago, right? That's 6.1 yards per carry with the 2 tutties. And then last week, I mean, we all know what Taysom Hill did last week. 7 carries for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara chipped in 16 for 67 for 4.2 yards per carry. The team cannot stop the run without JOK on the field. So for that reason, I think that it's a good spot for the Steelers running backs on top of the weather and the fact that the Steelers already are a run-heavy team, but they could skew kind of even more so that direction today with the weather. That's one angle that sticks out to me here is the running game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, just given that I have no trust in the Browns stopping the run game right now. On the Browns side, they want to pass the ball. So that's not going to really play well in bad weather, I would say, especially with Jameis Winston at quarterback. But they are coming. I'm torn on this. So Nick Chubb came back from injury, I think 4 games ago. And I don't think he's healthy. I talked about this on Sunday when I streamed. I don't think he's healthy. They came off a bye week, and he got his lowest carry total of the season. So he came back on October 20th. Nick Chubb, 11 carries for 22 yards, 2 yards per carry. The next week, 16 for 52, 3.3 yards per carry. Against the Chargers, 15 for 39, 2.6 yards per carry. Last week, 11 for 50, so highest yards per carry total on the season at 4.5, but he only had 11 carries. Coming off a bye week in which you thought he would be more healthy, he only had 11 carries. Now, was that because they were trailing for a lot of the game? Maybe, but the team already doesn't want to run the ball, right? Like they brought in Ken Dorsey as offensive coordinator to run an up-tempo, pass-heavy, fast offense. They don't want to run the ball. So I just don't know. I don't know about the health of Nick Chubb. I do think if at all possible, they would want to get him in the end zone, just given the narrative. Like I said, he got hurt against this team last year. It derailed the season for the Browns. They still made the playoffs last year, but this was a huge blow to the team. He's their emotional leader. So I think if there's any chance at all that they get in the red zone, Melissa, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. If there's any chance at all they're in the red zone, I think they want to get Nick Chubb in the end zone. So for that, I think you could look at a Nick Chubb touchdown angle. I just don't know about the volume, right? Like the volume's not going to be there. And Nick Chubb for his career has had this extreme efficiency. He's always broken off long touchdown runs. I don't know if he has the juice right now to do that. Coming back from this significant knee injury, like I don't know if he has that capability. And he's plus 155 to score a touchdown tonight. Najee Harris plus 105. So I think the run game is a super interesting kind of factor here. Nathan, thanks for tuning in. I think the run game's a super factor. I'm probably going to consider this Nick Chubb touchdown just because I'm willing to buy into the narrative. Being local to the team, I try not to have any biases at all. I'm not even a Browns fan. Anyone that follows me knows that. But just I don't see how they don't try and get him in the end zone if they get close. So for that, I'm interested in both sides of the run game. Najee Harris rushing prop. Let's see what that is here. 66.5. Rush attempts, he's at 16.5. Kind of like the over on that. It's pretty juicy though, minus 140. Longest rush, 17.5. I would take that. I mean, Taysom Hill ripped off multiple long touchdown runs against them. I'm definitely interested in Najee here. I'm interested in Nick Chubb touchdown. Would not bet Nick Chubb props, like his 50 or whatever rushing prop. No way I can touch that. Can't even bet his rush attempts because he's coming off a game where he had 11. I mean, his line's at 14.5. Like, there's just no way that I can bet on him getting 15 carries in this game. So yeah, that's kind of my overall analysis there. As I said, this is kind of a letdown spot. The popular stat going around this week was the Steelers are 0-7 in their history road divisional Thursday night games. They're 0-5 under Mike Tomlin. So under Mike Tomlin, they've never won a road divisional game on Thursday Night Football. I don't really know, like, I go back and forth on like trends like that, whether or not I think they matter, because there's just so many different factors year to year. Now with the Steelers, it's a little bit different just because they've had that same coaching staff for so long. Maybe Mike Tomlin struggles to get his guys ready for short week road games like that. I can't say that that's right or wrong. So I think that the smart angle here would be to bet on the Browns, but do you really want to? Like, that's why I'm torn on the game. It's a classic letdown spot for the Steelers. Gambling 101 would say to bet on the Browns in this spot, but I just don't know if I can really bring myself to do it. On the screen, I have SportWise pulled up. If you guys are not familiar, SportWise is here via Rolling Insights. You can actually sync up your fantasy leagues with this. I don't have that done on the screen. I'm going to do that in one of the streams here coming up. You can sync up any of your Yahoo or Fantrax fantasy leagues and kind of play around with it, build some things. Jeff, thanks for tuning in. Is Waddle cooked? He might be, to be honest. He might be. Really bad season for him. Part of it is that Tua's been hurt, but at the same time, even when Tua's been active, like they just haven't been giving him the ball. I talked about it to Steve yesterday on our YouTube video that'll be out today, but Devon Achane second on the team in targets, and I think he's going to pass Tyreek by the end of the year. I think there's a good chance Devon Achane leads this team in targets and carries by the time we get to the end of the season, which is just insane. Absolute monster for fantasy football. But yeah, super Bad season for Waddle. I haven't dug into the analytics much to see really what it is, but yeah. Guru, thanks for tuning in. Besides Tomlin, who's up for coach of the year? Yeah, I think coach of the year, I don't know if Mike Tomlin can win it, to be honest, because how they've kind of used, I can't bet on that in Ohio, so I don't have the odds available to me. But how they give out coach of the year is kind of, at least in recent years, it's been teams that are supposed to be bad or mediocre and then greatly outperform their expectations. Like we've seen Kevin Stefanski from the Browns has won coach of the year 2 times in the last 4 to 5 years. And I think, did Brian Dable win coach of the year? Or am I just like, was that a fever dream? I feel like he won coach of the year. I'm looking this up. Did I just completely imagine that? Okay, last 10 NFL coach of the year. Let's take a look at this. Stefanski, yeah, Brian Dable won it 2 years ago. I thought that was right. So yeah, so look at these, look at the guys that have won it. The last time someone that has a good team won this was John Harbaugh in 2019. Stefanski won it, Brian Dable won it, Mike Vrabel won it with the Titans in 2021. Stefanski won it in 2020, and then Harbaugh in 2019. Matt Nagy won it with the Bears in 2018. Sean McVay in 2017. So it's kind of like they're gonna pick teams that weren't really supposed to be good. I don't know what the odds are because I don't have them pulled up, but I would have to guess Kevin O'Connell from Minnesota is going to win coach of the year, just given what the Vikings have done. I mean, they lost their first round pick quarterback a week before the season. Sam Darnold, I know he's struggled recently, but the team overall is still doing pretty good. Dan Quinn is certainly in there. Yeah, look, let me see. Hold on. NFL Coach of the Year odds. Let's see if I can see the odds. Melissa, you asked who my favorite team was. Yeah, I mean, I root for the Browns just because I'm from here, but I'm not a diehard Browns fan at all. Just given what I've done in the content space, and Melissa, I know you followed for a long time. I try not to have any biases towards any teams, so I really don't. I think that objectively, I would feel guilty if I was giving out content to people and I'm like tainting my content with bias of a team. I can't, I don't know. That feels weird to me. So I have no biases to any teams. In terms of teams I root for, I mean, I root for the Browns just because they're local. Obviously, I have my Eagles on here. You guys know I've been a huge Jalen Hurts fan since he was at Alabama. I mean, he's my favorite player. So I have root for the Eagles since they got Jalen Hurts. But typically, I just root for the teams that we bet on, to be quite honest with you. Okay, let's see. Can I get NFL Coach of the Year odds? Let's see here. All right, this is from Vegas Insider. Dan Quinn is the favorite at plus 180. Kevin O'Connell at plus 500. Andy Reid at plus 550. If you're betting on Andy Reid to win Coach of the Year, I mean, that is just giving away money. Jim Harbaugh, I could see the Chargers are doing very well. Yeah, it's probably Dan Quinn. I don't even see. Oh, Tomlin plus 900. Okay, it's Dan Quinn or Kevin O'Connell in my opinion. But I guess maybe like a Harbaugh could slide in here. I wish I could see the odds on these like previous winners. That would be helpful. I know Dan Quinn is the current favorite, but in my opinion, Kevin O'Connell is coach of the year. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. And they have a great defensive coaching staff too, with Brian Flores leading it over there. So it's not all on Kevin O'Connell, but he's done very good. Going back to SportWise, though, like I said, you can sync up any Yahoo or Fantrax fantasy league on this platform and play around with it. I'm going to be doing that on a stream coming up. I wanted to look at like some of this rushing stuff, though. I'm going to go. Let's look at Steelers away team. So Najee Harris had 14 for 106 on the road against the Raiders. Najee Harris had 20 for 70 on the road against the Falcons. Some of this is tainted because Jalen Warren missed a bunch of games and he is back. I don't remember. He missed 3 or 4 games in there. Najee Harris on the road against Washington at 21 for 53. Oh, also underrated angle. I didn't mention this. I would not be shocked. I don't even know. There's no props up for this, obviously. I wonder if he's even available on a touchdown. He's not. Underrated angle for this game. We saw with the game on the line last week, I made a mental note of this. Game on the line. The Steelers brought in Justin Fields at quarterback and they ran him 2 times for like 16 yards. On a short week, A, bad weather, B, C, team that cannot stop the run. I mean, look at what Taysom Hill. If you watch any film of the Browns last week, what is jumping off the page to you? Taysom Hill coming in for 5, 6, 7 carries and just gashing him in the run game. Justin Fields, I will not be shocked if he gets 3 to 5 carries tonight and just carves this team up. I will not be shocked. I wish that there was like props for this. There's no way they're going to post Justin Fields rushing yard prop. Maybe on Prize Picks sometimes they do that, but the books will never put that up. I wish that there was a Justin Fields touchdown odds. I don't see it on FanDuel. If I see Justin Fields touchdown odd, I will consider throwing a small amount on that. Like very small. This is going to be just a sprinkle, but I would not be shocked if he came in the red zone. I would not be shocked if he came in and just had 3 carries for 50 yards. Like that's how bad this run defense is. That's exactly what the strategy was with Taysom Hill last week. And we just saw it from them last week, right? Game on the line, they brought in Fields to run. So I will not be shocked to see Justin Fields get a couple carries tonight. I'm going to check some other books. I don't see it on FanDuel. They should have this up. Like, why is that not available? Like, just make it high odds. Yeah, I don't see it anywhere. Man, this is that sucks. I'm gonna check. I'll check closer to the game, but I would be interested in that. I do expect Washington to drop. Yeah, Washington, I kind of agree. Who do they play the rest of the season? Let's see here. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but the Eagles are going to win that division for sure. So they play Cowboys this week, obviously big favorites. That's a win. They play Titans at home. That's probably a win. They play on the road against the Saints. They play at home against the Eagles, home against the Falcons, on the road against the Cowboys. They have a pretty favorable schedule here, right? Like I would say guaranteed they get 2 more wins at least. They're at currently, 7 wins? They're 7-4. So I think guaranteed they're getting to 9. And that's like a light projection, right? Like they're beating the Cowboys at home this week, most likely. And then they're going to win one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining games. Like home versus Titans should be a win. They should get to 9. And then, if they can steal 1 or 2 of their last 4. So I don't know. That's a favorable schedule for the Commanders, to be honest. I'm kind of torn on if I want to bet Najee Harris rushing yards or not. I'm going to think about that one. I think that's the clear angle of this game, though, in my opinion. The Steelers are going to be able to run on the Browns, whether it's Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Justin Fields. The Browns, I just don't know. Like, they want to pass the ball. The weather is going to hinder that. And another underrated angle of this game, in my opinion, is the Browns' left tackle situation. So to start the year, they had Jedrick Wills at left tackle. He's been hurt the entire year. He got benched a few weeks ago, quote unquote. He was injured, but he got benched, in my opinion. They put DeJuan Jones there, who DeJuan Jones is just a mountain of a man. He's like 6'7", 400 pounds. Like, this guy's huge. He is also out. So kind of having offensive line concerns against TJ Watt is a concern for me. Now, Highsmith's already been ruled out for this game, so the Steelers are missing Highsmith, but they are going to have TJ Watt. They're going to have to double TJ Watt, and then it's going to be about if anyone else from Pittsburgh can get home. So that's an underrated angle. Like, if the Browns come in and they're trying to go super pass heavy still, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it with their offensive line situation. And I just don't see them being like, could Nick Chubb come out and get fed tonight? Yeah. But do I trust that? No. Like, I don't think he's healthy. If he was healthy, he would be getting more carries, especially like coming off a bye week from last week. So I think if you're going to bet on the Browns prop wise, Nick Chubb touchdown is my favorite. I will say though, I've hit a number of these same game parlays on the Browns specifically. I've hit it 3 times this year, and it's won. And it's just taking Jameis Winston passing yards, watering that down, and then taking like 2 of their receivers. So like last Sunday, we did Jameis Winston, 200 passing yards, Cedric Tillman, 40 receiving yards, Elijah Moore, 25 receiving yards. It paid plus 120. It was like easy win. The weather kind of concerns me for that, but I mean, you could water it down even more because Jameis Winston's line last week was like 250. It's only 217 tonight, so you could almost do like Jameis Winston 175, and then you could do one of their receivers, like Elijah Moore again, do 25 on him, and then you could do Najee Harris, 50 rushing yards, right? That's going to pay almost plus 150. So something like that would interest me. I'm going to look more into that later. I'll have a blog out later. So if you guys are new or you're still not sure what's going on, these live streams will be live every day, 11 a.m., Monday through Friday. And then I have daily written content over at Rolling Insights as well. So I'll have a blog up later for the game and some more angles, but overall, I'm interested in Najee Harris props. I'm interested in Nick Chubb touchdown. I mean, I'm interested in Najee touchdown too, but it's just not that great of odds. Might be better off taking Jaylen Warren at that point. Almost 3-1. And then if we see any Justin Fields props at all, even on like a prize picks, I want to get in on that because I think he's going to get a couple carries tonight. Overall, though, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. We have NBA Cup tomorrow, so I'll be previewing NBA Cup tomorrow plus NFL for the weekend. And there's some other stuff we can talk about too. Big college football weekend ahead, so lots to talk about tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go sub up to the Rolling Insights YouTube channel. If you're watching this on Twitter, you don't have to do it right now, but at some point today, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to be working on growing that YouTube channel over there. We're going to have content posted quite often, and we're starting from the ground up. So please go subscribe there. It's free. Just click the sub button, and these streams pop up on that YouTube channel as well. But good luck with all your bets and fantasy teams tonight. I will see everyone tomorrow at 11 a.m.